Hello everybody, it's Tim here again, here another movie review, this time for Slumber Party Massacre 2021. I believe this came out in 2021 anyway, but it's the remake of the original Slumber Party Massacre. Just to go ahead and give my quick thoughts on the Slumber Party Massacre franchise, if you haven't seen I think I reviewed these a while back, but if you haven't seen my old reviews or whatever, the first movie I think is great. I give it a 4 out of 4. It's not a perfect movie, it has some stupidness to it, and it has some bad acting, but overall, it's a fun, like, trashy at times exploitation slasher flick, and it's incredibly just fun entertainment for what it is. Where the dick replacement or whatever is the power drill. Some Party Massacre 2, I'd give it like a 3 out of 4. I think I may have given it 3.5 back in the day. Watching it again, and it's not as good, but I still enjoy it. I'd give it a 3 out of 4. It's totally a different type of movie, more of just a comedy B movie, silly thing. But it's fun. Some Party Massacre 3, I think I may have given like a low 2 before. It's like a passable movie. Watching it again, Summer Party Massacre 3 is the worst of the franchise. It is like, I'd probably give it a 0, to be honest. It's pretty bad. This one, Summer Party Massacre 2021, I'd give it a 1.5. This is not a good movie. I've seen some people like defend this movie online or whatever. I have to believe it's like maybe like younger horror fans or whatever, who or people who weren't like big fans of the original or something. Because this is not really a good movie. It has some good moments to it and some good parts to it. There is some good things and ideas in this movie. The biggest problem with this movie is it doesn't really figure out what it wants to be. This movie is like a remake of the original Summer Party Massacre, but it's more of like a reboot that tries to do its own thing. You got the Russ, whatever his name is, the killer from the original, Russ Thorne, who's got the drill again. He's attacking all these chicks, and the black girl gets away. And it's years later, and her daughter or whatever, and her friends are going out to a cabin to like party. And you think that they're actually going out there, of course, to be the new setup for the new victims, but come to find out they're actually just trying to lure the killer out there, and they're all prepared to try to take him down, which I kind of liked. But the other thing I didn't like is like how unrealistic it was or whatever. Where all the chicks are like, let's go off and like chase this killer and go after him, like they're all gun ho about it, and the black girl or whatever is like giving a speech when like, well, there's a scene in the movie where like, well, maybe we should call the police, and the black chick or whatever who's like leading the brigade, who's the daughter of the original girl that was attacked at the beginning, she's like, no, we gotta take revenge on this guy now to show all these dick eyeballing serial killers or something like that, who's boss or whatever, not to mess with the people or women or whatever. And it's like you're trying to give like a feminist empowerment moment for somebody who's like obsessed with vengeance and is going to cause the death of multiple of her friends when she could have just called the police and saved everybody and let the authorities handle it. I mean, makes the characters seem kind of stupid. But at the same time, though, I do like the joke of like them all being prepared to like take on the killer. That was kind of cool. And that gets to my other thing. Like, this movie has very like tonal problems. It tries to have like comedic moments where it tries to like parody the series that's supposed to be a part of, which just feels out of place because at the same time the movie's also trying to be a serious slasher about these girls being targeted by a killer. It's trying to be a Slumber Party Massacre movie while at the same time it's trying to be a satire of Slumber Party Massacre movies. And it doesn't work. It doesn't gel perfectly. There's some jokes in here that are kind of funny. They do a joke about the pillow fight from part 2 where all the chicks got naked or whatever and had a pillow fight. Here it's a bunch of dudes that do it. It's kind of funny. That joke was kind of funny, but of course we get some other jokes that are a bit too on the nose. Where one of the dudes like, "Oh, you're just a crazy feminist who wants to murder all the men," and she's like, "Oh, that's so sexist." And he's like, "You're right. I'm sorry." And then you got another joke where this dude goes, "It's my toxic male masculinity." Like they're not trying to actually say that that they're trying to make like a serious stance on like feminist things and stuff like that. What they're trying to do with the writing here is they're trying to say, we get what you might think about this movie, but we're just trying to make jokes about it and all that. But those types of jokes are just like way too on the nose and just way too in your face and just not well written. They're not subtle enough. They're just too in your face, like you're crazy feminists or whatever. It's like, eh. But anyway, those are just too in your face for me, too broad, but too on the nose. Other stuff in the movie, like you get a scene where all at once this dude just like randomly starts like taking a shower just so they can do a joke about male nudity and all that, like how the chicks would just randomly take a shower in movies and stuff. But and the difference is in those movies, those were played as like serious exploitation films. They were meant to be fun and meant for you to like just ogle the females and to laugh at it. Here, they're doing it as a joke in a movie that's also trying to be serious at the same time, so it doesn't fit. This movie would have been better off just not having any ties to Summer Party Massacre and just being like some kind of like B movie send up of like slasher flicks or whatever, or a parody of them. It would have been better as that. Um, They also do scenes or whatever in here where it's like one of the chicks like acts like she's like trying to make a lesbian move on the black girl or whatever, and it like never gets brought back up. But I think the purpose of the joke or whatever was for it to be a joke, like to make the male audience who's watching the movie think they're gonna get some kind of lesbian makeout when they actually don't. I think that's supposed to be the joke of it, but at the same time, though, these are the Slumber Party Massacre franchise. They are exploitation films. That's what they are. They're meant to have nudity and all that. And like when the dudes were having the pillow fight or whatever, if this was a real Slumber Party Massacre film and it was really going full force with exploitation like all the other ones did, then all the guys would have been like completely naked. And their asses would have been hanging out while they were swinging the pillows or whatever. And there would have been multiple ass shots of all the dudes. But they don't. They shy back from it. There is some good gore here though, where like the people are getting drilled and all that. There's some okay kills here, some good gore, like where this one goes through this person's throat. And at the same time, the writing is like trying to make these like smart female characters, but at the same time, it portrays some of them as like idiots. There's a scene at the end where a nail gun is like shooting through the window, and this dumbass chick like walks over directly towards the window, like I think they stopped, and it's like donk and gets shot in the eye. It's like you're a retard. Uh, But yeah, after they built the whole movie trying to say these are the strong female characters, the smarter characters, and it's like, no, you died like an idiot. Uh, and another thing, the Russ Thorn killer, the guy here, he just mimics the original dude. Just it's okay, his performance is. He's not bad, but he's just completely mimicking. And then he ends up getting killed. They slit his throat, and he doesn't kill any of the girls, which is kind of lame. Um, because of course he's the main killer of the original movie, and they just like piss him away, and you find out he has a mom or whatever, and she's this hillbilly redneck girl, and she kills like the majority of them, the majority of the teenage girls and all that. They do have a joke in here I did think was kind of funny. You got two guys named Guy 1 and Guy 2, which was kind of funny. I get what they're saying. It's a joke about like disposable characters in movies or in slasher movies. They're trying to make a joke about like what they're trying to say is make a joke about like disposable female characters, but the majority of slasher films, this is why I think when people make parodies like this, they don't really watch slasher films, like, and if they do, they don't really understand them. Because in the majority of slasher films, they have like characters that are just to die that are both male and female. In the majority of them, they have multiple characters like that who are all male and female. It's not just like a female thing. That's why I think that most people who watch slasher films and think they're misogynistic, like they really don't understand them. Like the idea is that the chicks who think about sex and all that and they're constantly ripping off their tops and everything, although that is done for the exploitation element to entertain the males, it's also to show that, and the lesbians, it's to entertain them too. It's also to show that these are the chicks who aren't that bright. These are the ones who always ends up dying, and it's the smarter girl or whatever who ends up living. That's the point. The one who just isn't thinking about screwing and partying, though she's always the one that lives. That's the point. The final girl is the feminist character, or the feminist message or whatever about strong women. That's the point. People who watch these movies, who don't understand that. They're people that don't get them. They just don't get it. But yeah, anyway. Overall, though, yeah, you get to the end and it's like the chick's mom randomly happens to show up at happenstance at the right time to like help them. And even though she does seem like the paranoid type that would show up if they didn't call her or whatever, and that's what she kind of states. So it didn't bother me too much, but at the same time, like, happenstance. She shows up there to help him out. And then her and the daughter, they get in the fight with the redneck woman or whatever. And managed to take her down and kill her, and then the movie just like abruptly ends. That's just it. This movie feels like somebody took like maybe like a spec script or something, and kind of might have inserted a bunch of Slumber Party Massacre stuff, or they wanted to make a Slumber Party Massacre movie, but at the same time they're like, we'll make something like way more savvy than what people expect, and it's like, some of the jokes here work, but some of them are just pretty lame. They just don't fit the tone of the movie. Its tonal balance is off. It wants to be a send up of like the Slumber Party Massacre series, while at the same time it wants to be a satire of slasher films, while at the same time it wants to be a slasher film, and it doesn't mesh at all. You're trying to do three things at once, and it does not work. So yeah, overall 1.5, not the worst of the series. Some good gags, some good jokes. I will never watch this again. Still though, it's better than Part 3. It is a better movie than Part 3, but Part 3 feels much more like it's part of that trilogy. This movie feels out of place. It doesn't really fit with these other three. But yeah, overall 1.5. Not the worst thing I've seen, not even the worst reboot or remake I've ever seen, but still one that sucks and is forgettable. It has like a 5.2 on IMDb, I think. That's the appropriate score for this. It doesn't have enough trashy fun to make up for like the weak writing here. If all the dudes were like naked and fighting or whatever with pillows and all that. And also, if you're trying to be like a movie that satirizes slashers and all that, or like something that shows or talks or tries to be more equal opportunity for women or whatever, then you would have had the chicks naked as well as the dudes and just went full exploitation with it and just like had the dudes and the chicks naked at multiple times in the movie to satisfy both audiences. But they don't do that because they're not really trying to make a Slumber Party Massacre movie. I mean, they are, but at the same time, they're trying to do like multiple other types of films as well at the same time, and it just doesn't mesh. So yeah, overall, this is a 1.5 out of 4. It sucked. It has some good moments. Maybe the creative team in this will go on to do some good TV work or something. But yeah, overall, 1.5 out of 4. Not the worst reboot, not the worst remake, but still sucks. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.